Welcome to fishing with the Power Fishing Pro Hybrid Electric Fishing Reel. With Dan Galusha, inductee to the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame. Today, Dan will be demonstrating spinnerbait using the Power Fishing Pro reel.
Today we're going to be talking about using spinnerbaits with the Power Fishing Pro reel. I got a few things down here to show you. As you can see, there's a multitude of colors that you can be using. But I always tell everybody that if you've got one color you want to use, it's kind of a cover-all, shall we say. Chartreuse and white, you can't go wrong with that. And that's why I got this tied on right now. This particular setup is a willow leaf blade with a Colorado kicker, as they would call it. The kicker gives a little bit more vibration. You have less vibration with this unless it's a wedge blade, and this particular one is a wedge, and I'll show you on another one what I'm talking about on wedges. This blade is an Indiana blade. You notice that it has more of a teardrop shape. It has a little bit less vibration than a Colorado, but more than a willow. This is a Colorado painted blade, striped. Dirty water, as we call it, which is muddy or whatever. These work better there. Here is a Wedge Colorado, and that's what I was going to tell you about the wedge. But the wedge starts out thin on this end and gets thicker on the back side. The idea of this is that this blade, even though it's this size, has the vibration of a blade about that size. So in the muddy water, that's going to put out a lot more vibration, and it's going to show the fish where your bait's at. The willow leaf, as I said, in a clear water situation, that usually works best there. And that's what we're going to do, is kind of a combination today. I'm going to go with this smaller bait because it's what I call my limit getter, and I'm going to have a wedge willow leaf on it with the kicker. We're going to use this power reel to show you what we're going to do. What we're going to talk about first here is how to use this with a straight retrieve with a power reel. It's a little bit different, and the power reel will allow that bait to stay at a constant level if you do it properly. If we were in a boat, I'd probably be about this far down, but you want it as close to the surface as you can. Keep it at a constant speed, and you'll notice that bait is staying right there. It's below the surface for a shallower strike. We got some other methods that you can also use. The blade will flutter downward if you let it drop. And a lot of times you can do a stop and go. Just like this. What that does, that allows that bait to fall again. As it does, that willow leaf is slowly fluttering down. When you're using the stop and go, you kind of want to fish in deeper water situations, because what you're doing there is you're actually fishing suspended fish or fish that are closer to the bottom, so that they're looking upward at that bait coming down and that blade fluttering, because that's the idea. It's not a good technique in shallow water, and like I said, right now I'm fishing shallow water here. You can do the same thing with it, and we'll cast out the deeper water this time. Okay, I'm going to reel up the slack fast. That's the nice thing about the power reel. It'll zip it in there for you. Now as it falls down, I'll pick up the rod tip. I'll wind up my slack going down. I'm doing basically the same thing as a stop and go, just going a little bit longer with it. If you use the power reel in conjunction with a spinnerbait with the techniques that I showed you, you're going to have a successful day of fishing.
Using these techniques, along with the Power Fishing Pro, you can fish longer without fatigue, have more options and techniques for catching fish, and enjoy fishing even more.